why do you think that Scoop is actually attracted to Wendy? Because they're opposite characters. Heidi is very idealistic. She's following that stubbornly in a good way in her mind. Mm-hmm. And Scoop is this loose, relaxed guy, and she's really attracted to him. What do you think?
Well, I think why she's attracted to him is because he looks like me. I mean, duh. I mean, don't ask dumb questions, okay?
That's why Elisabeth Moss gave up Fred for you, right?
Right. No, so I do believe that, because Scoop is, excuse my French, he's an asshole. I mean, he really is. He is obnoxious. He's.
But she's attracted to him from the first encounter,
right.
And he's an asshole to her.
Yeah,
Why?
I'm getting there. Despite that, he is incredibly honest. Mm-hmm. And I also think Wendy wrote him as a very prescient character as well. Like everything that he says to Heidi, everything that he tells Heidi regarding sort of the future, because Scoop sort of predicts what will happen, not only with himself, but with Heidi specifically, from the very first moment they meet. I think there's something about that honesty that she doesn't get from anyone else in her life that is very attractive. And they have a back and forth. You said it, now I'm saying it, but they are, Wendy is Heidi, Heidi is Wendy in so many ways. But Heidi and Scoop have a sort of language with each other in the same way that Heidi and Peter, the other male figure in her life, for those of you that haven't seen it or read it, they too have this shorthand, this sort of language that they have, and it's sort of this thing like when you meet someone that you can talk to that you can't talk to in any other way. You have this sort of organic, visceral connection with them that will not go away no matter what. That is what she had with both of these men for different reasons, or in different ways. And the irony, of course, is that she cannot be with either of these guys romantically, or ultimately. She does. Scoop and her do have a romantic relationship, but ultimately he marries someone else. And Peter is gay. And so it's just, this idea that the two most important men in her life that she falls in love with, she ultimately can't be with.
But it's so powerful how Wendy writes these scenes, especially the scene with you and Elisabeth on stage, of you getting married. Mm-hmm. Elisabeth is actually really sad. The Heidi character is really, really sad. She's losing a part of herself. She can't have you, even though you're opposite. And even when you come off that you really don't even want to marry, she implies, you don't even want to marry this person. She implied not that you don't want to marry, but basically, you're opposite to this person you're marrying. You really belong with her. It's so much more powerful that it's almost not attainable for Elisabeth.
Yeah, well, and it's not just the fact that it's not going to happen for her. I think it's what Scoop says to her in that scene about how she's about her part in it all. Mm-hmm. Meaning, there's a great line where Scoop says to Heidi, Heidi says, one day, I've forgotten my lines already. I finished last night and I'm like, fuck it, that shit's out of my head forever. But basically she says, she talks about making a choice, and she says she hasn't made any yet. And I said, yeah, and Scoop says, yes, you have, or we'd be getting married today. The idea being that her choice has been to stay on this track, to follow her goal and hold on to her ideals. I'm not saying I agree with this, by the way. I mean, this is Scoop's somewhat chauvinistic view of it, but also kind of honest and kind of correct, which is your choice, not that there's anything wrong with that, was to take this track. You want to be an A+. You want to have your own life that doesn't involve making babies for me and for 10 years and doing this sort of thing, which is what Scoop wants. You made that choice, you know, and she sees it as, no, I haven't made any choices. This is what I believe, and I'm just on this track, sort of waiting for everything to fall into place. Well, while you're waiting, everything else is happening around you, is what Scoop's sort of point was. So that, to me, is what's heartbreaking. That's the sadness, is that Scoop can point this out to her and tell her, like, look, this is why.
But you talk about honesty, the honesty of your character, what she's attracted to. But don't you also think that meeting with people that knew Wendy very well, Wendy Wasserstein, don't you think Wendy is honest, reflecting in Heidi? At the very end, even though she has a successful career, she's actually sad. You get a feeling that she's sad, that she's missing something in her life, a family, and possibly being married.
Yeah, I think
that there's a price to pay.
Yeah, absolutely. And she's at the end of the play. She has adopted a baby, and there's a wonderful line, which actually, for those of you that saw it, I think this might be of interest to you. There was two lines in the final scene where Scoop asked Heidi, he said, so is Judy your solution? Judy is the baby that she adopted. So is Judy your solution? And then she says, no, Judy is my decision. Those two lines we found, or the director found, in a very early draft from Playwrights Horizons, from the off-Broadway production.
And she cut it out?
And Wendy cut it.
Wow.
In fact, we saw the original cast this last week. They came to see the show, which was its own wild, amazing night. And we asked, and they brought that up. They said those two lines. And we were like, yeah, we know you didn't do it on Broadway because the Broadway draft doesn't have it, but you did it at Playwrights, right? And they said, no, we didn't even do it in that run. It must have been an early, like a draft that, before it even made it to this stage.
But why would she cut it out? For commercial
Our
reasons?
theory, again, we don't have the answer.
Right.
And so that was the interesting thing this time around about not having Wendy with us. We have all these questions, and most of the answers were theories, we would have to find in the words, and so, but our theory on that was that maybe it was a little too on the nose, and so, that the scene sort of says that without having to say it, but we thought if we could deliver it in a way, if we could block it and do it in a way that felt organic and not sort of like it was exposition or sort of up too on the nose trying to explain something, that it could really work. And so we played with it in previews, and we just kept it in every night. We were like,
because it comes across fine.
Yeah,
play.
But every night we were, we put it in towards the end of rehearsal, and we just, like, every night of previews we said, are we doing the line tonight? And Pam would be like, yeah, let's keep it in. Last night it worked. Let's try it again. And eventually we were just like, the lines are back in. They're back in the play. And so it was this really kind of amazing thing that happened. It's just two lines, but kind of a powerful little bit.